The Supreme Court has handed down a decisive victory for the NRA, clearing the way for the organization to sue a former New York State official. Now, the official is accused of pressuring financial institutions not to do business with the organization. Valley News Team's Washington News Bureau correspondent Brendan Cullerton breaks down the decision for us.
The Supreme Court ruled unanimously to allow the NRA's lawsuit against New York's former top financial regulator. The organization says Maria Vullo pressured insurance companies to blacklist the organization. Vullo is arguing she rightly investigated NRA-backed insurance policies, sometimes referred to as murder insurance. But the NRA says she went too far in abusing her office by threatening the institutions she oversaw. Vullo's actions came in the wake of the 2018 Parkland, Florida school shooting that left 17 dead. In an unusual pairing, the NRA was represented by the ACLU, which says it stands against the NRA on many issues, but worried allowing Vullo's actions could ultimately lead to limiting free speech of other groups as well. The Supreme Court's ruling overturns a decision from the Second U.S. Court of Appeals, which ruled Vullo had qualified immunity from the lawsuit and stated her actions were not coercive. This ruling will likely limit future pressure campaigns from state regulators against private companies for their political beliefs. In Washington, I'm Brendan Cullerton.
Brennan, thank you for that. Now, North Dakota Attorney General Drew Wrigley weighed in on the matter today, saying, quote, "With this ruling, the Supreme Court has helped to rectify the wrongs perpetrated against the NRA by New York officials who appear to have abused their regulatory powers to threaten financial institutions that did business with a policy group they disfavored," close quote.